Welcome to Jazz Zone Together, our new online jazz community where we will provide jazz education resources, interviews with jazz educators, artists, and celebrities, along with valuable tips and repertoire suggestions. Today, we're honored to welcome Bobbi Wilsyn, a highly renowned singer, actress, and educator. Bobbi currently serves as voice studies coordinator in the music department at Columbia College, Chicago. Now I'll turn the mic over to Dick Dunscomb to conduct the interview. Dick, it's all yours.
Welcome, Bobbi.
Thank you,
We're
Dick.
so pleased to have you with us today. As a little more background on your career, I'll tell that your early career began singing in a church in LA and jazz clubs in LA. Subsequently, you toured the country performing in nightclubs and hotel musical shows. And then once you landed in Chicago, you became the featured vocalist with the Chicago Jazz Ensemble, directed by Bill Russo and later by John Faddis. Her singing career has taken her around the globe, singing with many, many jazz artists. And I can attest, her teaching career at Columbia College, Chicago has been spectacular. She has taken it to a truly new level of educating her students and creating the lifelong music performers. Bobbi, give us a highlight reel of your early days as a vocal performer.
Well, it started back in a log cabin. No, it didn't. It started at a club, many local clubs in Los Angeles, but it really seemed to take off when Milt Trenier of the Trenier brothers came into a club called the Sophisticated Lady. He saw me sing, and he often said that he had to come back the next night to see if he was that drunk or I was that good. So I think the answer is both. But he invited me to go on the road with him, and we traveled all around the country. And that was certainly a highlight to see that my dream to be a performing artist beyond school and church was now in effect. One of those places was Chicago. When I decided that I had been on the road long enough, approximately 10 years, the decision was made that it was probably Chicago that would be the best place for me to land, because I wanted to sing in more clubs, and it was either go back home to Los Angeles, and I don't know if you know this or not, we don't have that many clubs on the level that Chicago had clubs back then, or New York, where I didn't know as many people. So I came back to a club called the Back Room that Milt and I had played together on many occasions. And I asked the owner if he would hire me on his own, or on my own, with my own group. And he said yes, highlight number one. Then as I was singing around, I was able to record my first album that was produced and arranged by James Mack, who's no longer with us. And through that process, then I was also able to meet some other people who were jingle producers. So when I got my first jingle, that was a highlight. And one of the things that made it so special was it was a commercial for Stay Puft fabric softener to the tune of Cuddle Up a Little Closer, Honey Mine, and it had strings. Well, I know you won't know how I feel about strings because of our Symphonic Jazz International. Yeah. We were able to go to Italy to do that. So that was certainly a highlight. And then I was going about my business, teaching at Columbia, performing on the Odyssey cruise ship. I was one of the first performance groups to launch that particular cruise ship here in Chicago, and had an opportunity to audition for some musicals. And that first musical that I got was Sophisticated Ladies. Remember Sophisticated Lady, the first place that I performed in where Milt discovered me? There's some kind of a golden thread coming through this. But I got that musical, and of course that was a highlight. And then you saw me in the musical, It Ain't Nothing But the Blues. Thankfully, Columbia College was always that connective stream. It was always a place where I was encouraged to do not only the things that pertain to teaching. And I remember when I walked into your office, Dick, and I asked, I said to you, I have an opportunity to be in this musical, and it might change my schedule somewhat. And you said to me, that's why we hire you, to teach what you do. So another highlight would have to be those people like Dick and Bill Russo and Sheldon Patinkin and James Mack and Milt Trenier, all of these people who kind of guided me and pointed me in the right direction and gave me all of these opportunities, which ultimately ended up being the coordinator of voice studies under your direction, as a matter of fact, Dick. And I am Bob. I just retired May 31st, so it's a thing of the past now, but it certainly is a big part of my life.
So, Bobbi, I'm curious. Before you began becoming a professional singer in LA and Chicago, did you take lessons, or how'd you get started?
I always sang in school and in church. And here again, teachers, mentors. I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, one of my Sunday school teachers took me to the Baptist convention and had me sing. So it's like I was always led to the right people. My parents were very supportive. They trusted anybody that was associated with the church, and therefore allowed me to do that. I was a church soloist. I also conducted the choir. My association with Columbia was as a result of my connection with Gloria Morgan, who was already teaching at Columbia, and she was my accompanist for my jazz group that played around the country. So she kind of brought in that background of having connection with conducting choirs. Never was taught to do this, just simply observed what my conductors were doing from the time I was 5 years old until I left Los Angeles. And that's what I was doing. In the meantime, I would audition, I would sit in, I would do anything that I could in LA just to sing. To tell you the truth, I never thought that I could do this professionally. I thought it would always be through church. And my first job was as a service representative for public utility.
All right. Well, you certainly have dispelled that rumor. You are one of the finest in the world today, Bobbi. You mentioned something about musicals. Could you tell us a story or two that might be okay to tell on the air that happened during those?
Let's go back to that Sophisticated Ladies. I'm a big believer in setting goals, having dreams, and doing anything that I can to feed into those goals and those dreams. So I happened to have a chance to see Sophisticated Ladies. And I just fell in love with that musical because, of course, it's the music of one of my favorites, which is Duke Ellington. And when I heard that they were going to have a production of Sophisticated Ladies auditioning in Chicago, I jumped at the chance. I came home because it said that you had to learn how to tap dance. I got how long ago this was. It was a VCR recording on how to tap dance. So it was me and my broom in my kitchen trying to learn how to tap dance. Then I found out that the production was not going to come. I had to throw away all of my talisman, which included a 2x8 big, large phony key that said sophisticated ladies, and I carried my keys around. This was the thing, oh, I'm going to do this. And then I was very disappointed. In the meantime, I was asked to join the cast of Beehive, which was a tribute to the music of the 60s. After one show on one occasion, I came back and there was a note on my station that said, come audition, a private audition for sophisticated ladies. What? So I went to the audition, and I knew that one of the roles that I was going for also called for dancing. And I said to them that I was not a dancer, even though they wanted me to audition for the danseuses. The chanteuse was my very good friend, Alvalita, who unfortunately has passed away. And so when I knew that she was going to get that part, and she was from New York, and I was going to get the chanteuse, I went to them, I said, don't mistake these long legs. I am not a dancer. They said, don't worry about it, Bobbi. Just don't worry about it. You're fine. You're fine. So first I auditioned, I sang a little bit, and then I sang a lot. And then they said, stick around for the dance audition. I said, oh my goodness, no. I told you I couldn't. They said, don't worry about it, Bobbi, don't worry. There were all these dancers with legs that started at their ears, and they were putting their feet behind their necks and just practicing and doing it. And I'm sitting there looking at them, and I said, okay, I'm gonna call on my idol, Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett was the funniest thing that ever walked in a room, no matter what she did. I had those people laughing so much during their dance auditions that they didn't do well. But they kept assuring me, don't worry about it, Bobbi. And then what ended up happening is I had the part anyway, and they gave me a dance coach. And baby, I danced my little behind off with that extra practice. So that's my story about the production of Sophisticated Ladies.
That's a beautiful story. Well, those were beautiful days that I spent at Columbia College, Chicago. It's just such a very special place. And you had a number of students that were there, and some of them have gone on to bigger, greater things. Maybe you could mention one or two of those, and also talk about the art of vocalization.
Well, the ones that are most outstanding, and that maybe our listeners will know, would be Chester Gregory, and he is probably most noted for his productions that featured him as the great singer Jackie Wilson. And he started that in Chicago, as a matter of fact, and it became a national success. And then, of course, there's Jonathan McReynolds. You know Jonathan, who were able to send to Pop Academy and really expanded his connection to the music world beyond the gospel music, the way that he had learned it, the way that he was singing it. And he has become one of the finest songwriters in the area of inspirational music, and he has lots of recordings and videos to back it up. And I can say other people that are often will often contact me to tell me how successful they are at many levels, including performing around Chicago and other areas in clubs and plays and the like. And as far as vocalization is concerned, I think that sometimes the students just simply will regurgitate what they hear, the music that they like, and perhaps they don't have the technique to support it. For instance, Beyonce is generally 20, maybe even 25 years older than the people that admire her. And if they don't have the proper technique or stamina, they can burn themselves out. So I just think that a good, strong foundation is as important for a singer as it is for any other instrumentalist. Maybe even more important because we can have some health issues if we don't use proper technique.
Right. You mentioned the Pop Academy. Can you give us a little bit of an idea about what that connection is? Because it's a very special one.
Well, actually, our colleague Gary Yerkins was most involved in that. However, my connection was simply to recommend and support those students, those singing vocal students who had a lot of promise and who also showed that they were songwriters. And they always came back to Columbia better students all around as a result of this connection, which I understand was a very intensive structure to performance, arrangements, writing, collaboration, as well as applying the techniques that hopefully we had given them in our vocal lessons before they ever went to Germany.
Yes, that connection worked both ways too, because we took students from Germany in that exchange program. Yeah, that was really important. You know, we were really pleased with your contribution of the vocal lesson in our book, Jazz Zone: The Beginning. Can you give us a brief summary of your goals for the vocalist in that lesson?
Yes. My goals, I guess, can be confined to an acronym, LAPP. And the first one is to get the vocalists to listen. And not only listen to the music that they like, but listen to music from other styles and other eras, because they think that they're making this stuff up now. And I believe that people were using melisma as early as Gregorian chants. So to listen, and listen with big ears. Don't only listen to the singer, but you got to listen to what's going on in the music. Now, of course, for Jazz Zone, we were talking about singing, or I was talking about singing with an orchestra, like the Chicago Jazz Ensemble or Symphonic International or the Chicago Jazz Orchestra. And I've had a lot of experience singing arrangements that already exist. Sorry, you hear the phone in the background. I can't turn it off. It is going to go to voicemail in a moment. I knew this would happen and nobody ever calls me. So they have to listen with big ears. Learn to listen to every part of the music if they have the luxury of being supplied with the music in the first place. Listen while actually looking at the score. And if they don't know how to read a score, then perhaps they have to ask somebody to help them through it. And then the next thing is A, and that is to apply whatever it is you happen to be listening to. Just practice, sing along with it, isolate it. And I think I indicated that in the lesson. And then the P is practice it. Practice it in isolation and practice it in the full context of whatever that musical piece might be. And then the last P is performance. The performances, even for a musical, will not be the same, even though you are singing with the same arrangement, the same orchestration. Well, this is what happens when I sing with a big band. Music never changes, but I have to sing it as if it's the first time, because I owe my audience that excitement and that connection.
Let me also add to that you have included a series of links to great singers. And I think that almost everybody that we've interviewed so far has talked about listening. And it's just such an important part of an education for young students and older students as well, because that creates the kind of knowledge that people have to become adept at those things. Now, let's next turn to the jazz music we love. Can you mention some of your favorite tunes? And then would you please sing for all of us?
Any song that I sing, believe it or not, is my favorite tune, because that's the only way that I can bring that excitement and that freshness that I spoke about before. And if I have the opportunity to plan my own sets, I only include those songs that I really love. And for the most part, because I sing with repertory companies such as the Chicago Jazz Ensemble, or lucky enough to have someone like Thomas Gunter write new arrangements for jazz standards for the Symphonic Jazz International Orchestra. Almost always people ask me what I think about the song. Do I like it? Would I like to do it? And I very rarely have something suggested that I don't like. Now, if I do have an occasion to sing something that doesn't necessarily appeal to me, then I act. Because I'm an actress and I act as if that's my favorite song in the world. The audience really does not concern themselves with whether or not I like a tune. They concern themselves with whether or not I portray I like the tune.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, as far as the song that I'm going to sing, I was going to do a pre-recorded track, but because of Zoom's difficulties, and sometimes I have difficulties in spelling computer, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to have to take time to find it, link it, start it. That's the good thing about a singer. All we need is our breath. All we need are our ears, and then we can sing anything that we want to. This is another little lesson that we probably should not sing something a cappella that cannot survive without accompaniment. So therefore, I am singing one of my favorite songs, because I don't sing anything unless it's my favorite song. And this is the song that was made most popular by Nat King Cole. It certainly is some inspiration for all the things that we're going through today. And I'm one that if I am not inspiring my audience and my listeners, then I probably didn't choose the right song. So I think this one might fit the bill. And it goes like this. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea, a little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one magic day, he passed my way. And as we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. return.
So beautiful, Bobbi. Just like you.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your career and musical insights. We hope to be able to do this many more times in the future, and God bless you, baby.
And you too. So good to speak with you. So good to meet you, Bob. And anything that I can do to promote this or Tone Zone, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Bobbi.
You're welcome.
To our viewers, we appreciate you joining us today and for being a part of Jazz Zone Together. We hope you found this presentation of real value. We hope you'll join us for future episodes. In the meantime, please stay safe and please keep making music.